Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. I am Mayor Watt. Up there is the sentient AI visualizer. I want to say hi real quick.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
And today we're going to be talking about jet-powered cicada urination. Yep, I said it right out of the gate. Addressing denials, VR sickness, digital Dune, scientific mysteries, worst vehicle deals, things to know about jackpots, excluded from modern digital, edible ants, and excess wine. I don't know what else we're going to be talking about, but stick around. Everything's powered by. Oh, I did it again. I didn't do it. I didn't prep us properly, so we're gonna do it live. Let's go. Let's because I kind of messed this up. We're gonna have to do this live. Okay, boom. So that's right. Jet-powered cicada urination redefines the rules of fluid dynamics. This is why you come to ohmTown Daily. Come on, you know it. While most
How would you like to be on this study?
Hey, you know what? I think it's rocketing to the top of the research annals of history. I might have spelled annals wrong. But anyway, while most small insects and mammals urinate in droplets, cicadas urinate in jets, and that's why in the future, kind of like Dune, they got rid of thinking machines. Also, in the future, they're going to use giant cicadas to be water jets to cut things. They're going to make them drink a whole lot of liquids and then pee
Have
really
their still
hard.
suits?
That's from their stills. Yes, no, cicadas will only be on Dune, correct. Well, when we click this little button, we go over to SciTech Daily. This is going to be really a quirky show today. Georgia Institute of Technology. Look at these little red-eyed critter staring at us. Give me your lunch money.
I mean, maybe it's as alarmed about the jet-powered urination as people are.
You're going to study my what? SciTech Daily is where it's at. Georgia Institute of Technology. I already said all of that. Saad Bamla, an assistant professor at the School of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering, because you had to make that very distinct. And his research group hoped for an opportunity to study cicadas' fluid excretion. However, while cicadas are easily heard, they hide in trees. Well, they're shy peers. Come on. Shy urinators. You ever barge into a bathroom and everybody just stops? Picture this. You're about to go pee, and some very posh British gentleman pops out of their stall and says, "Could you assist me with something?" And I said, "Hell no." And I looked around like I was being punked. Anyway. However, the cicadas are easily heard. They hide in trees, making them shy bladders. As such, seeing a cicada pee is an event.
For whom? The cicada or the researcher?
There's so much room for giggling.
I mean, how many scientific articles have the term cicada pee in them? Probably not a lot.
Every article. I subscribe to Cicada Pee Weekly. It's a journal. It focuses on those who are really interested in cicada urination. Well, anyway, they were doing field work in Peru and the team got lucky. Tiny little cicada bathroom stalls. And they're just like American stalls where they've got like 2 feet of crawl space underneath the doors, because what do you think is going on? You know, some criminal enterprise that's going to put your business out of business? Anyway, do you really think that the downfall of society is because of a 18 inches of door actually being there? Give us some damn privacy in the United States. If this happens anywhere else, please let me know. But for crying out loud, this is just... Why am I focused on this and not talking about the unique urination of cicadas? I don't know. I'm going to do it. I'm muting it, and we get to see how a cicada pees. Yeah, oh, there's a little droplet from whatever is going on here. Noisy cicadas, apparently. They rev up an engine, and then they shoot it out like a... more like a racehorse than a jet stream, but okay. Anyway, this moment of observation was enough to disprove two main insect pee paradigms, which I didn't know existed until today, and now you all are in the know. First, cicadas eat xylem sap.
For Jeopardy on this category, cicada pee.
Cicada pee. I gotta make a cover band that's just called Cicada Pee. So cicadas eat xylem sap, and most xylem feeders only pee in droplets because it uses less energy to excrete the sap. I suppose that's an assumption. Maybe they just have a really bad prostate and they have to do it in little droplets. You know? Come on, it happens. I wouldn't know, but cicadas, however, are such voracious eaters that individually flicking away each drop of pee would be too taxing and would not extract enough nutrients from the sap. So apparently, I just don't understand. How do they know that it takes less energy to shoot it out as a jet stream than it does to dribble it out?
I'm not quite sure how they figured this out.
They asked them. They're all hanging around the water cooler. Hey, I noticed that you pee in droplets. I'm spending way too much time on this. So...
Well, this is a highly unusual article.
I'm just going to go on to the next one. Rapid Claims uses AI to help U.S. healthcare providers address $250 billion in denied claims. There's the link in the chat. Going to click this link. I'm really not sure what's going to happen with my links because I didn't preload these to see. But so this is over at Rapid Claims. It's from apnews.com. Healthcare organizations are turning to automation with revenue cycle management to protect operating margins and the increasing claims denials from the payers. Every year, close to $265 billion in claims made by U.S. healthcare organizations are denied because of the way the claims are coded on payer documentation, and delayed submissions are two chief reasons for the denials. Coding errors account for over 40% of claim denials, while untimely submissions contribute to 35% of denials, eligibility and prior authorization being some of the other aspects playing a significant role. Yeah, I don't know. All of this kind of just pisses me off because health-related matters have no bargaining power. Even the organization that you are working for, there is a financial burden that's borne by the organization and you. And so they're supposed to... I hate it. Because...
Well, I think the main takeaway from this article is that there are $265 billion in claims that are denied.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's outrageous.
So Rapid Claims has emerged from stealth with a $3.1 million funding round to tackle the claims denial problem head on with its medical coding automation module. But that means everybody has to adopt it. So hopefully everybody adopts it. But you still have to code. You still have to, on the medical side, put the information in properly. And everybody has to agree to utilize it. So they're talking about ICD-9 codes. And I actually had a conversation about these recently. And there's 19,000 ICD-9 and nearly 120,000 ICD-11 codes. Adherence to guidelines is becoming increasingly challenging due to rapid changes encompassing NCCI edits, NCD and LCD guidelines, Medicare policies, payer rule sets, etc. Yeah, this is absurd.
Well, and do you want to make it easier to get claims paid out? You should from a healthcare standpoint, but maybe not from an insurance standpoint.
Yeah, one of the things that I had a conversation about was the fact that there's certain medicine that someone could take that can be life changing and nearly a one and done or a relatively low cost, but massively increasing survivability, kind of return on your investment. And the healthcare, I'll just say victim, has to pay whatever the gap is between the insurance company, and most people don't have any bargaining power. If their organization doesn't facilitate their healthcare as many levels, strata, you are bound by whatever they offer. And then when you try to go off brand with that, you have to pay exorbitant rates, $1,200 per month, to get insurance that might cover a medication that's going to extend or save your life. Just save it. And the extension portion of it could be something that costs retail $1,000. But if everybody were to buy this, or I should say buy into this one medical coverage plan, the cost would be dramatically reduced. But no, that's not what happens. They create tranches of it, and various people at various levels have to pay. And we have all of this screw you kind of ideology, in that, well, I don't need to take any medicine, so I don't really care. But then when it does become your time to really care, you lose your shit, and everybody else is sitting there going, dude, for 10 years, 20 years, you've been poo-pooing what amounts to socialized medicine because you weren't in need of it. Well, now you're 65, and you need inexpensive healthcare.
Well, and there's so much not of a focus on like preventative care.
Right.
Because if there was, think how many costs, even just from a cost standpoint, let alone quality of life and everything, but costs would go down tremendously. But there doesn't seem to be an industry-wide interest in that, right? It's on just treating whatever the symptom is.
Yeah, they just want you to pay your thing, and then you have actuarial tables that tell some MBA greedy bastard that this is how much you're worth until you die, and because you don't have any bargaining power and they have all the power and they don't care because they're sociopathic, they just go, no, we're going to deny it, because they have hundreds of thousands of customers. They literally have 300 million customers spread across various healthcare insurance companies, businesses, etc. The entire population is bound in it. Yeah, it's all twisted. Okay, I got to keep going. I will soapbox forever on this. The next article is over on the Reality Hacker channel. It says here, the paper, there's a study that finds 120 frames per second is the most important, or the important threshold to avoid VR.
Ohio State.
Oh man, you beat me to it. To avoid VR sickness, yes, the important threshold. The paper comes from Jiatong Liverpool University in China, where the authors have been studying the effects of VR refresh rates, resolutions, haptics, stereoscopy, and more for years, including how these elements all relate to simulator sickness. The Pimax 5K Super was used for the study because it supports up to 180 hertz refresh rate, the highest of any headset on the market. So the study tested 60, 90, 120, and 180 to compare the effect of sickness for the 32 participants, 16 male, 16 female. Well, when you click the link, you get taken over to Upload VR. I don't have an ad blocker active, so it's okay. The study finds 120 frames to be the go-to. The recent study concluded 120 frames is the important threshold to avoid VR sickness. The author is David Henney, over at uploadvr.com. I always give credit where credit is due. Let's see here. So it found that 120 frames per second is the important threshold after which the participants reported significantly reduced nausea compared to 60 frames per second and 90 frames per second. At 180 frames, reduction in nausea was minimal, suggesting 120 frames is the threshold. My problem with this is that if it was the exact same people that were tested over and over and over again, they overcame VR sickness.
Right, you'd almost need new people, right? Because aren't they kind of building up a tolerance or
Yep.
a familiarity with it? Because it is
And
interesting. I mean, there's two that really jump out on here as not being at 120.
Interesting. Yeah, well, the Pico 4 is at 90 and the Apple Vision Pro is at 100. So if they use these, but see, there's differences in technologies and there's differences in people. 32 people is just not enough. I'm sorry, it's not.
No, it's a small sample size.
So it says most titles run at default 72 hertz on Quest 2, while many titles have implemented an upgrade to 90 hertz on the newer Quest 3. It'll be a long time until 120 is the standard. You can overclock on some systems. So significantly complicating the matter of frame rate. Oh, let me throw this into the chat, by the way. I guess I didn't do that. Is reprojection, motion extrapolation, which double the true frame rate by generating synthetic intermediary frames. But for me, I think it's worse. My problem with this is that it's too few of people. And if they were the same people being tested on all of this equipment over time, they got over their VR sickness.
So what other variables do you think there might be other than frames per second?
Moray, the type of technology that creates the content. So there's different content. There's different engines that are pushing that content, and then there's the technology itself that displays it, the display technology, and how it, like foveated rendering, is more akin to natural human vision. But then if you don't have pupil detection, so where you're looking inside the headset, it doesn't do the rendering in the right way. And so with foveated rendering, it's wherever you look, it renders where you're looking and blurs the outside edges of it so that it can optimize for where you're looking. The problem, though, is that not everything supports that. The biggest factor, I think, in VR sickness is that your inner ear and brain, eyes, to some degree hearing, but touch, where your feet are planted on the ground, where your eyes are seeing the horizon, and where your semicircular canals all create a picture of your orientation relative to your vision. When it's out of sync, you get sick. You can take medication for it, or you can reduce it by taking off the headset, taking a breather for 5 minutes, putting it back on, desensitizing yourself. And you basically get used to the idea that your head and your body are still safe with your feet firmly planted on the ground. Beyond that, I don't think that any frame rate is really going to matter, as long as you're doing it at a frame rate where it alone isn't causing the sickness. You know, if you only have like 5 frames per second and there's lots of motion and you fixate on the changing scene to the point where you get disoriented, then yeah, you'll get sick to your stomach. So I don't really buy into this particular study, but I thought it was worth bringing up and showing people and mentioning the idea of VR sickness. I think it's pretty interesting a concept. Unless you have any other question, I'll go on to the next.
No, I just like that they're acknowledging that VR sickness is a thing, right? We just see like, oh, this is great in VR, this is great in VR, but yeah. I don't think everybody can get used to it or has gotten used to it.
Yeah, and you can go to demonstrations, like colleges sometimes have days where you can go and see this kind of technology and experience it. There are commercial enterprise that have VR rooms where you can put VR gear on in its room scale, and um, you can always buy it, and it's relatively inexpensive nowadays. You know, back 30 years ago it was thousands upon thousands of dollars. It still is, but the technology has also increased dramatically at that price point. But like those Pimax 5s are thousands of dollars. So this next article is over on Warcrafters, which is an incoming channel that will talk about things like this. Much loved board game Dune Imperium has a digital version right now, and it's getting rave reviews. Back in 2020, Dune Imperium surprised people as a compelling, interesting, and downright tough strategy board game that adapted the world of Frank Herbert's Dune novels to a board game format. I've never played it. I'm interested in the movies and the books and the world building, but I don't know about the game. It does get rave reviews. People really seem to like it. It has since risen into the top 10 all-time board games on industry bellwether Board Game Geek. Now, as of this week, Direwolf's digital adaptation of Dune Emporium is on Steam, and people are just in love with it as the tabletop version, and it's sitting at a 96% positive rate. Pretty spectacular.
I mean, that seems very high, but I would imagine people that really are into Dune are the ones that are trying this.
Yeah, and it's extremely popular. If you want somebody on YouTube to talk you, I guess, through Dune and Dune history, just do a search for Quinn's Ideas. Not only do they, they talk pretty in depth about Dune, but they've been doing it for years before it was cool, man. And it's a fun watch. Yeah, pretty much every time. And more of a listen than a watch, but. So Jonathan Bolding over at PCGamer.com put the article together. Yeah, I'm Dune, a great board game adaptation. Get it? Doing a. Anyway, there's a video attached to this, but I'm not going to play it. Let's see what they have here. So Dune Imperium on Steam is $23. This is the thing that I'm glad that they mentioned it. So how good a board game adaptation is Dune Imperium, i.e. as a digital experience, though? They say, I'm not sure. Ask me again after I play 50 or 60 hours. But at least the best once? But it's at least the best, I'd say, since Wingspan. So Wingspan is pretty much everybody's favorite, particularly on Board Game Geek. People love Wingspan, absolutely adore Wingspan. I've never played it, but people love it.
No, I've heard of it, but
yeah, I've heard of it. I've seen it, but I've never played it. And I'm not really one that goes charging into just populist kind of stuff. But I do love my board games. So I've been just enraptured by Dice Throne and Dice Throne Adventures now. But it's a lot of fun to play that kind of a game. So I don't know. We'll check out Dune and Dune Imperium on Steam. I find it hard to believe that there's like a long form replayability factor in Dune, because
maybe that goes to the comment in the article,
which is
like maybe ask me again after you've played for 50 hours.
Yeah I don't know, I'll have to check it out, and I'm sure that we'll talk about it again, because Warcrafters that's an incoming show. Be sure to follow us here over on ohmTown.tv. Twitch.tv/ohmTown. I don't know why I said ohmTown TV, but it's not ohmTown TV. Everything actually eventually comes from Twitch over to YouTube and then to a podcast. which you can download at any time. We're going to be adding 2 more. I'm trying to get them live by Monday, tomorrow. But it's up to the technical, I don't know what, gods to allow it to take place. Anyway, let's keep on trucking through today's articles. We're going to talk about scientific mysteries now. 17 astounding scientific mysteries that researchers can't yet solve. What is the universe made out of? How should we define death? Where did dogs come from? And more. 3 years ago,
if I had to
Vox.
list 17 mysteries, I'm not sure it would have come up with the where did dogs come from.
Yeah, I was going to say storks, dog storks. 3 years ago, Vox launched Unexplainable, a podcast about unanswered questions and what we learn when we explore the unknown. There's a line that the author thinks about all the time from the very first episode. Whatever we know is provisional. When you click the link, you get taken over to vox.com. Brian Resnick is the author. And so whatever we know is provisional. Priya Natarajan, a Yale physicist, told Vox and Unexplainable about research on dark matter. But the sentiment also applies to science overall. It's apt to change. What motivates people like them, like Priya Natarajan? They say a Yale physicist, but shouldn't that be Dr. Natarajan? I'm not sure.
You would think so, but maybe they don't have their PhD.
Oh, sure. Anyway, so they're talking about these 17. I won't go through all of them. I will throw it into the chat, though. There you go. Twink. You can check it out at your leisure. Wait. Did I miss the last one? Did I not throw that? Yeah, I didn't throw that in the right order. Sorry, folks. There you go. Twink. So what is the universe made out of? How did life start on Earth? How did dogs evolve from wolves? It evolved from wolves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Evolution is a thing.
The question kind of answers it.
The answer's in the questions. Can animals feel grief? I believe so. What will animals look like in the future? Who knows? What's the secret to a great romantic relationship? Absolute ambivalence.
I don't think so.
Where the heck does our moon come from? Actually, a lot of guesses involved with some of these things. How does sound become hearing? It's a biological function that converts vibration into our brain, decoding it. That right there, that's kind of the really big one, you know? Like, how does our brain actually work to take random signals and turn it into something we understand?
Right, and I think that's the part of it they really don't know.
Why don't doctors know more about endometriosis? That's an interesting... What a sentence. All right. Let's see. Is there anything alive in the human poop left on the moon? Yes, potatoes. Potatoes. Was there an advanced civilization on Earth before humans? That's probably going to be tagged as a big no, depending on the time frame, right? What is the definition of life? It's that whatever. It's a king vulture native to the jungles of Central and South America, and it's on the question about what is the definition of life. All right.
I'm not sure king vultures sum it up, but
how should we define death? What did dinosaurs sound like? They had really nasally voices. Did you? And there was one dinosaur that could actually speak, called the thesaurus.
I I
Yeah,
thought it was going to be a character from a Disney movie or something.
had a huge vocabulary. Is there such a thing as perfect internet encryption? Um, Probably not. Like unbreakable? Yeah, no. Eventually it'll all get broken. And is it safe to use weed during pregnancy? I would probably say no. You want to be as natural as possible. And how will everything end? Well, I can answer that one too. Apparently, it's the everything will just be so cold that it's locked in place forever, unchanging, the cold death of the universe. But there's a whole lot more in this article, so go and figure it all out at vox.com. I guess that's where all the answers are.
Right, and if you solve these, come back to ohmTown and let us know.
Yeah. So the next article is over in the Marvel channel. The new cars that are the worst deals according to Consumer Reports. I probably won't go through all of these. Even though the automotive market is slowing down and car prices are starting to go back to something a little more normal, there are still quite a few machines out there that command a hefty price tag if you actually want to get a deal done. So you always click that link and that takes us to the source. This is over at Quartz, and hopefully it doesn't crash my computer. Elizabeth Blackstock over at Jalopnik, and it was actually published on QZ or Quartz. So they always have these little snippets here, and partial of that is what gets aggregated. They provide that, so but they do this slideshow and it turns into that. And so here are, it says the new cars that are the worst deals according to Consumer Reports. 7% over MSRP. All of these prices are actually, look at that. This is all stuff that I think is, it's still above, but it's not as high as it used to be. Go look up.
I thought it could have been worse.
Yeah, go and look up one of the, like a performance Camaro somewhere, and it's like $150,000. Some of these are $65,000 cars, and then they put $25,000 extra charge on it. I won't even go into the prices because it's going to be regional. There is no absolute, hard price for any of this stuff. Ford Rangers are the babies to the F-150, but still bigger than their previous generation. So if you're interested in an entry level kind of not early adopter, but
like intro truck or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not worried about somebody saying something, never mind.
Okay, but don't you think it's odd that the Ford Ranger and the Ford F-150 are both 14% above MSRP?
Hey, supply and demand, Although we have a record of this as to why there are supply and demand issues, that a lot of people are going to sit there and go, well, the supply chain is still crap. But no, that's not really what it is. If you constrain the price or the availability of something, the price goes up. You get exclusivity pricing. Or you can even say surge pricing, because people will want whatever it is that they can't have and they really want it, so they'll pay a premium if they've got the money for it, right? So if everybody is doing this because there's a whole lot of money in the system, eventually all of that money gets sucked out of the consumer side and owned by the investor class and the business owners, and then it gets kind of sold back via banks for people to either borrow money. And so, I mean, it all gets consolidated up the chain. And I'll just say this again. I had some goober tell me, whenever you give money for free to somebody, they just spend it. And I just want to smack them right off the island. Just, you're not allowed anymore to be a member of society. And I had to explain to them, that's what money is for, to be spent. But they're not going out and buying an F-150 that's 15% over market price. They're buying supplies for survivability.
Exactly, and you can't compare somebody who's buying frivolous items and life essentials.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so the Ford Ranger is actually quite a beast compared to its predecessor. It used to be kind of tiny. And now the F-150 is the big dog on the block. I don't know. Did it? I clicked it. There it goes. Yeah. Yeah, they stopped making the Ranger for a while and then they brought it back. Anyway, let's keep on going. This is the only way that most people are going to be able to retire. I mean, you can retire and then there's retire. And this is the only way that people are going to be able to retire prior to being 78.
Did you want to say anything about four-wheel tech?
Oh, yeah. So we've got another show coming called Four Wheel Tech. That will be the show that we do tonight, right? I mean, it's not going to be tonight,
Yes.
but it's going to be Sunday nights. And that show focuses on things like this, cars, vehicles, primarily things with four wheels, but you never know. It's just automotive technology, not just the car, but like gadgets and gear, aftermarket stuff, anything, even science and other technology that's related to the automotive industry. And we're in the process of setting that all up now, but it will be live next weekend. So if you're interested in the automotive industry, we'll be providing the same kind of same kind of show. 10 articles, a little bit of
Excellent
smart
commentary.
Yeah. Thanks. High, very expensive production value. You'll want to stick around to see how the sausage is made. That last part's a real, just a total lie, because my production value is as you see it. I don't like editing because whenever not whenever I edit, but I don't like editing because it to me, it pulls the truth out of it. And so putting your best foot forward kind of a thing is really just pure honesty and straight off of the cuff, live commentary, live discussion. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's kind of like reaction video news, because we don't actually read the articles all that much. Like this article actually talks about it being $41,844, so expect to pay an extra $5,274. But that's not necessarily true for the price. This is just their price, maybe on average, right? Yeah.
Right, but anybody could pay much less or more likely more, depending on where they are located.
And that's kind of how four-wheel tech is going to be. We'll talk about all of the news. So come back and check us out next weekend, and stick around for the other shows tonight. So the next article, and I'm not doing transitions right now because I kind of borked up the whole show by not setting it up prior. I usually open up all of this stuff and then verify that everything is going to load up properly. Okay.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live. So this next article is over in the Mobile channel. 5 things to know about Powerball Mega Millions jackpot surge to a combined $1.52 billion. I guess I'm showing up to work on Monday. Yeah.
If you win or if you don't win?
Well, I didn't win, so I guess ohmTown is going to still have Mayor Watt running it. No, I'm just kidding. If I do win, it'll be nothing but Mayor Watt. I'll just be able to hang out and chat all day long. Nobody matched the winning numbers on Friday's Mega Million drawing, pushing the jackpot to an estimated $875 million. At its current size, the jackpot ranks as the 6th largest in game history. We've actually highlighted some of the stuff that's happened around lotteries, including a lawsuit where the winner of one of the biggest Jackpots was kind of outed to their parents by his girlfriend, and he's suing the girlfriend to shut her up.
Which is not the normal course of events.
Yeah, because I guess the winner is like, I don't want anything to do with these people. It was my $20 that won, and yeah, who knows? Who knows what the nature of that relationship is? But so without a jackpot winner in Saturday night's drawing, the Powerball grand prize is now estimated at $645 million. That's the 12th largest in Powerball history. So when we click this link, we get taken over to the Hill. Please, Hill, don't crash my system. But Addie Bink over at the Hill put the article together, and it says here, with all this money at stake, you may be tempted to buy a ticket or two, or maybe 3 or 15 or maybe 100. There are 5 things you should know before playing Powerball or Mega Millions.
By the way, if you want to know the odds of hitting both of them,
okay.
It's 1 in 88.4 quadrillion.
They did the math. They say something here. Your odds are slightly better when it comes to Powerball, where you have a 1 in 24.87 chance at any prize. Any prize. I'm not talking about the jackpot.
Right, not necessarily a big prize.
Yeah, and hitting the jackpot is 1 in 292 million. Basically, the population, I suppose. 302 million for Mega Millions. Yeah, so what are the 5? Let's see, hold on. I'm trying to go through it really quick. Is that it? Oh, okay. So the way that they have this highlighted and bolded and stuff. So what are your chances of winning? That's what we just talked about. How much of your winnings go to taxes? Half. Just to count, half. In both Mega Millions and Powerball, jackpot winners have 2 payout options. But it says annuitized and then the cash payout. Regardless of the payout, jackpot winners see a large chunk of their funds withheld for taxes. But it says though some states do not have a state lottery tax withholding, they all must withhold 24% in federal taxes, and then the state actually taxes an apportionment of your winnings as well. So it says, at best, according to analysis of the current Mega Millions jackpot by USA Mega, a grand prize winner will get about $552.5 million with the annuitized payout, or $260.5 million in cash. I guarantee you, well, depending on your age, you may want to, do the annuitized, because then you're going to have so much money and it's all going to be you're going to exit with all of the money. But you'll get it in tranches, annual payments broken up into months if you so demand it. But if you get $260.5 million, you can invest it somewhere and make well above what they would annuitize. So can you remain anonymous? It depends on the state that you're from. They also encourage protecting your ticket and keeping your victory a secret for as long as possible. When it's really big, they actually recommend, well, not they being the organizations that run the lottery, but advisors basically say, start up a trust that is designed to do one thing, sign for the winnings, and then give it to another trust. That trust and then the other trust dissolves and gives it to another trust, and then that trust dissolves and gives it to you to bury it behind a shadowy nest of where did this all go?
You look like a super villain.
Yeah. And then when somebody actually does even more due diligence and says, well, Joe Smith from the gas station down the road suddenly disappeared, and I think I saw him on the internet bragging about his super fast vehicle and his 5 jets and his yacht, which if you do all of that, you're going to be out that 250 million, like in a heartbeat.
True.
So.
I mean, if you're taking the cash payment, that kind of assumes that you have some ability to not spend it all.
Yeah, good luck. I picture what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it all and head straight to Vegas and double it.
It
So
might be the fastest loss of lottery winning in all of history.
Yeah, and there's like horror stories and stuff about people that win a lot of money, and they don't keep it a secret, because everybody comes out of the woodwork and they get potentially accosted and stuff like that. So, when are the Powerball and Mega Million drawings? The next Powerball is at 11 o'clock, well, 10:59 on Monday. But be careful, because if you want to play these, you typically have to get your tickets an hour before the drawing. Because they shut down stuff for consolidation of all the data. But go and check. You don't have to play the next one, but you may not win. And what else should they know? What else should we know about the Powerball and Mega Millions? All the tickets are $2 a pull now. They used to be $1. The odds have changed for Powerball and Mega Millions over the years. They've increased the numbers. And that has actually pushed the winnings to ever higher numbers. But the effect of this is actually the reinvestment of all of these unwon pools allows the state to accrue interest and utilize that. So because all they're saying is that X amount is used in the pool. So you're going to get whatever it is. If it's $875 million, then you're going to get a cash payout of 413.5. Can you imagine waking up the next day and going, I have $413 million in my bank account?
No, I mean, some people would be thrilled to have an extra $413 in their bank account. So
yeah,
that would be quite astonishing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just lifetime of lifetimes, world changing, as long as you don't turn into a dipshit. All right, so the next article is excluded from Modern Digital. So let's go over to that one. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't throw that into the chat. There you go. Promise the next article or the next show will be better prepped. So this article here is in Technology Today. And it says nearly half of UK families excluded from modern digital society, study says. Almost half of UK families with children lack the online skills or access to devices, data, and broadband required to participate in today's digital society, according to research. With an expert saying this divide, and I talked, as a matter of fact, last week, I talked about the concept of a digital divide. This divide is an amplifier of other exclusions. It's usually socioeconomic, because something as simple as a Chromebook and Wi-Fi, and even Wi-Fi can be accessed via, a local fast food place or a school or a library in your area. Coffee shops have them for free, but you have to typically spend money or get kicked out. Particularly youth gets kicked out, For the most part, a coffee shop wouldn't have the stones to kick somebody out if they're respectful, even if they're not buying stuff, with fanaticism.
Right, it's probably better for customer retention and everything to let people do it.
Yeah, to not be a tool. So research shared exclusively with The Guardian found that 45% of households with children do not meet that threshold. But when you click the link, you get taken over to The Guardian. What did that say? Not for sale? Something like that? I don't know. Anyway, the research was led by experts at the University of Liverpool, Loughborough. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. University and the digital inclusion charity, the Good Things Foundation, with input from other universities. It uses a series of focus groups to develop a minimum digital living standard that measures household digital abilities and their access to goods and services. But if you look up digital divide, you will certainly run across this idea, and it's been around for decades now. Um, and just for me, I don't like the fact that a lot of schools are leaning into Chromebooks, which are great at the high school and lower level, but when you get into college, you're going to have to jump from that ship. Um, Yet people aren't necessarily prepared for that. And so there's a huge learning curve when you go from high school on a Chromebook. Here in the States, Chromebooks are pretty much a lock in grade schools. But the moment you go to a college, the institution is completely enraptured with things like Office and Adobe and other higher end apparati. There's no way around it. You have to ditch the Chromebook. But the Chromebook and phones actually cross that digital divide for a great number of people to at least be able to reach out to the world's knowledge. However messy that dumpster fire might be, it really is the key ingredient for long-term education. You can't learn everything in a classroom. You definitely can't learn street smarts in a classroom, or situational awareness, or worldly experience and knowledge. A lot of it is learned online. Go ahead.
And I don't like that. I mean, this would be a negative statistic in any group, but I think it's particularly troubling in a group involving children, because this is where kids start learning to use technology. It's going to be prevalent probably in their whole existence, and it seems like these households are going to get further behind, which is going to hurt their children's chances of career success and other things.
Yep.
Life satisfaction, you name it.
And I dig this, and this is my phraseology, and so it matches what they're writing here. Okay, so what they say in the article is the report recommends a holistic response to boost digital inclusion, calling for public, voluntary, and private sector organizations to consider how they can reduce the digital barriers that many face. It's so weird that we are willing to isolate people simply because of what amounts to a low amount of money involved in getting people a single tool. But for whatever reason, it becomes rather sociopathic, because people say, well, I'm not going to help them, but just imagine for a moment, have some compassion, empathy, sympathy, understanding of just the complex nature of humanity. You, in a heartbeat, can end up in this more compromised situation.
No matter how well situated you think you are, that could change in 24 hours for somebody.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, one medical malady that may not even be you, but you have to spend your entire life savings to save someone that you care for. And you'll no longer have all of that ample opportunity. But then I know you are going to sit there and be chomping at the bit to get assistance from the rest of society. And I witnessed this time and time and time again. At one point in my life, there was somebody that was near me that was sitting there and never gave a shit about anybody else. But the moment that they got personally sick, they were rah-rah about that particular issue. And I'm sitting there going, wow, you're trying to make me feel guilty because I don't want to donate to your particular cause. Except that I do donate to their particular cause. I just wanted to make sure that they were abundantly clear that your change of perception is entirely based around your personal impact. I thought that it was hypocritical and somewhat sociopathic. And we do give to the cause, but yeah, it's very frustrating. And I think that people should not be this way, not be so, I don't know. I always say the term sociopathic. You have to care about society and be a member of it. So I hope that organizations like this actually facilitate crossing that digital divide, and basically having a computer in every child's hand so that they have access to the world's knowledge. Maybe they can do something better than those deepfakes, but hey, you never know.
Yes, kids, use the technology for good.
Yeah, grade schoolers making deepfakes. Okay, so the next article is over in the Mobile channel, investigating the many flavors of edible ants, which is, hey, who knows? We might all end up having to eat edible ants. Insects are typically unwelcome visitors to a picnic, but they could be a flavorful, nutritious, and sustainable addition to the menu. Eating insects is common in some parts of the world, and some species are even considered delicacies. I keep hearing this. I have a problem. This article is from the American Chemical Society, which I don't know if I really want to buy into anything that's being said, but it's posted over
Why
at
do I
fizz.org.
really want food from the Chemical Society?
Yeah, Soylent Green kind of a stuff, or the little protein bar from the train. What is it? The Snowpiercer from Snowpiercer. It was actually made from insects and well, other stuff. Pretty twisted, but oh, and by the way, I'm gonna say it again, just so that nobody forgets. Snowpiercer is the sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. No, it's not really, but I will try and perpetuate that as a possible theory. And I hope that they make a sequel to Snowpiercer where they actually make that canon.
Like a crossover or something.
Yeah, so at the end of Snowpiercer, something happens. And so what I want the sequel to be is society rebuilds, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory rebuilds, but the offspring of Wonka actually says, hey, you know what? We actually were able to resurrect everything because we were part of Snowpiercer. That would be beautiful. Anyway, answer one example: sometimes roasted whole for a snack or ground and used to add flavor and texture to dishes. Researchers now report the unique aroma profiles of 4 species of edible ants, which taste markedly different from one another. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. To better understand which compounds contribute to the flavors of edible ants, Liu and his team at San Diego State University analyzed the odor profiles of 4 species: the Cicada ant, common black ant, spiny ant, and weaver ant. Does it say?
I don't really want to try a spiny ant from the name.
Hey now, why does Celine Alvarado Martinez, when I first saw just that part of it, I thought it was Lisa Kudrow from Friends.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like her.
So there's a video here, but I'm gonna let y'all follow that. Actually, let me throw this into the chat so you can check it out. Boink. Even at high concentrations, humans are unable to smell the alkenes that ants use as chemical messengers, but they were able to identify other noticeable odors that contribute to the flavor of these ant species. They don't say what the flavors are so far, but I'm really curious. Here we go. Unlike common black ants, Cicada ants tested did not contain formic acid, and their predominant smell was nutty, woody, and fatty. The researchers attributed fatty, grassy odors to the presence of aldehydes. They say the nutty, roasted smell comes from pyrazines, compounds also produced when meats and bread are cooked. Cicada ants use a type of pyrazine as a trail pheromone, so weaver ants were nutty, sweet, and caramel-like aroma. If you've ever picked up a ladybug, you'll smell grass. I don't know if everybody does that, but I've picked up ladybugs and I can smell. I think they like pee or poo on you, and it smells like grass because that's what they nibble
Hopefully
on.
not like the cicada bee.
Yeah. So they compared adult spiny ants to the same species in the pupa stage. Like common black ants, the adult spiny ants contained formic acid. In contrast, the pupa did not contain formic acid because a venom glands grow as they mature. Venom. So there's more over here at this article, but for the most part, look at that. A common black ant has a sour flavor that can be used in place of lemon juice. Yeah.
Would you like a sprinkle of ant on top of your
On your
shrimp
shrimp.
salad?
See, this would issue a complaint from the average customer. I don't know. If this is marketing.
Also, because they don't want ants?
Yeah, I don't want ants on my shrimp. Come on.
You know, it's all about the marketing, right?
Right.
They have to be like, oh, this is the trendiest ingredient.
That's right. You know what they...
So celebrity is eating this.
That's it. Taylor Swift. Come on. And then Taylor Swift putting it in a Trader Joe's mini, whatever. What's that? Mini.
Oh, mini tote. Yeah.
Mini tote.
Or
yeah.
somebody putting a TikTok about it.
Oh, yeah. And then doing that stupid... Wait, I shouldn't say it like that. That's so negative, you know, but they were making thousands upon thousands of dollars doing those little emotes that are from like The Sims and stuff like that. People were getting paid tips, like $1.50, $5 to sit there and make that sound that a sim would make. And they do it over and over again for hours. That's a level of discipline and maybe compromise that I just can't buy into. I don't know. I guess I'm too proud. But I'm also not making millions of dollars a year streaming on TikTok. The last article for today's ohmTown Daily News show, and then we're going to reset and we will have another show. Yeah, that show's going to be the continuity report. And then after that is Technology Today. And then next week we'll have ohmTown Daily News show. We'll have the continuity report. We'll have Technology Today. And we'll kick off the inaugural episode of Four Wheel Tech. So our last article for today for ohmTown Daily News Show is there's so much excess wine that growers are ripping up vineyards and winemakers are destroying their products. So remember what I said earlier. If I can constrain it and demand is still high, then I can charge a premium rate. And this isn't the only product that gets consciously destroyed to increase the price. In India and in other countries, they destroy crops when the price gets too low because then it doesn't make anything, you know, there's no viability there. So you constrain it until you don't feed everybody at a low price. No, you screw 20% so that 80% can get it at a higher price. And you end up with, well, something like this. Wine has a supply and demand problem. There's too much of it. Growers in Australia, California, and France are ripping up vines in response. A significant reason is that the demand for alcohol has declined.
I
guess
suppose that's positive, but it seems like such a waste of plants.
Yeah. Yeah, and everything involved, right? The reason why something is priced the way that it's priced is because it's constrained. That is part of the business model of profit or supply and demand. Basic economic processes, right? But the problem there is that it's falsely high. Because if you are producing too much, the efficiency of your operation warrants that your product be lower price so that you can get it all out the door. But that's not what they want. So they destroy something Kelsey Vlamis over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. There's no deck statement, but they have these little takeaways. Wine has a supply and demand problem. There's too much of it. Growers in Australia, California, and France are ripping up vines in response, and a significant reason is that demand for alcohol has declined. Yeah, we're all getting healthier, arguably, or people aren't spending it on alcohol because they're spending it on food, perhaps. Tony Townsend, a grower in South Australia, recently told Bloomberg that he's destroying his 34-acre vineyard after taking care of the vines for years. They said that they enjoyed being in the wine industry, but it's just economically unviable to continue this way, he told the outlet, adding that although his crop was healthy, harvesting it would cost him $23,000. So why not sell it or
even let people come in and they can harvest and use whatever they can take, like instead of letting it all go to waste.
But destroying it. They're not just letting it wither, they're letting it get destroyed. They're ripping it out. Reuters reported tens of millions of vines will be ripped out in Australia to address the excess supply. So what are they going to change it to?
I don't like that because of the climate issues in Australia. Like, it seems like what's going to come in behind it, right? Concrete or something that's not going to help. I mean, hopefully it'll retain natural spaces.
The vineyard owner Andrew Calabria of Calabria Wines in Australia told Reuters it's hard for growers to look out the back window and see a pile of dirt instead of vines that have been there as long as they've known. Excess supply is also impacting winemakers in Europe and the US. Last year, the French government, famous for going to great lengths to preserve its traditional culinary products, said it would spend $216 million on destroying excess wine. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if there's a supply and demand issue, then slow your supply by not producing as much, but find an alternate use for your grapes. Don't just start ripping the vines out. If it is, I guess, fake, what do you call it? Constraint, right? The stuff is there. You should be producing what that stuff is, and then sell it at the market price. Bottle it, produce it, but you can store wine for an extended period of time. It's just, I think that it's just goofy. Obviously, it's not worth what you think it's worth. And I understand supply and demand. I understand economics. Yeah. Wine consumption rose in the 90s when everybody thought that the end of the world was in the 2000s. No, I don't know why. It was associated with good health, but as Americans have drunk less and less alcohol over the past decade, production has exceeded demand. This is what I said right at the start of this conversation, was people started getting healthy. In fact, many people, and I wish that I could be more precise about this, but many people were told that a glass of wine a day was great. It gave you antioxidants, it calmed you down, all of this stuff, only to find out years later that all of that was bullshit marketing, kind of like milk makes a body good. No, humans don't need milk. You need water, you need other nutrients, but milk, actually, humans lose our ability to process milk. We become lactose intolerant. It's a sugar that you don't need. And so you should be able to just kick it to the curb. But some people in marketing made that happen. Some people just believe in it. You can get your nutrients elsewhere. But in the business, it took for granted that there was always going to be growth. Well, that's an irrational business process. You can't always expect 10, 15, 20% growth quarter or year over year.
Yeah, and some of these people, I think, came into the industry and all they saw was positives.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on the time frame. And then, pandemic, inflation, climate change, all kinds of things.
Yeah. And over the years, honestly, the AI and I have spoken to several people who kicked off vineyards 15 years ago thinking that it was going to be the end all be all. And now we're hearing 15 years later, not even halfway through their mortgage, that they're going to have to figure out some way to deal with this lower price and overabundance of so many people producing, right? So, and it's not just them, right? It's all over the world with global distribution capabilities. You got competition all over the world, even domestically, hyper local, and they're better. So, you're going to lose. Yeah. Good luck. Good luck to you all. But maybe you should just enjoy your yard. Go out, pick some grapes. Invite me over. I'll pick some grapes. Go. Yeah. And that right there too. Farms are going away as well, and that's what I really meant to say. The problem here is that instead of families having these operations, bigger and bigger organizations are buying up these vineyards. It's consolidating all of the production, and then you have this massive invasion of either product line or one particular brand. It's all owned by one mega organization. And it should be a lifestyle for the people to start up a vineyard, produce the wine, live off of that product being sold.
Yeah. Well, that's hard to compete, of course, even when there are small growers. But they can't compete for resources or space in the shops, etc.
Yeah. I just don't like really huge business taking over an entire industry, because it takes away opportunity. It takes away options, choice. And it certainly kills the home business. And a wine business can definitely be a home business. And that's what it was initially. I mean, people were stomping grapes with their feet, for crying out loud, and selling bottles of wine in a couple of years. Not anymore. All right. Well, that's it. Everybody pile back into the party bus. We drive down Main Street and we end up on that front page. I have no idea what's going on with the front page, and I'm pretty sure that I'm already in trouble if I want to promote it. But that's it for today for ohmTown Daily News Show. I am Merwat. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the Sentient AI's visualizer. They're going to say adios, muchachos, and then I'm going to hang up. And we'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you again shortly for Continuity Report and then Technology Today.
See you in a little bit. Bye-bye. I'm going to go get a glass of cheap wine.